Anthony Richardson hurt his shoulder. Michael Pittman bumped knees last week, and he's likely going to miss OTAs. So we had voluntary OTAs last week. We have mandatory mini camps this week for most teams. And Michael Pittman probably won't play, but Richardson won't play either this week. So he hurt his shoulder. Is this a big deal, guys, or is this just some offseason injury that is getting a lot of attention? Because, not a lot in the news cycle these days.
I changed my week 1 projection. I mean, the way my projections function, I only project one quarterback, and I'm projecting Daniel Jones now instead of Anthony Richardson. I think I was really hopeful that it wouldn't come to this, but you can't draft Richardson as anything more than a late round dart throw, just hoping for the upside. And the thing I was really disappointed is I thought if I made that change, the consolation prize would be, well, at least it'll be better for the other players on the Colts. But Daniel Jones has been so miserably bad as a passer, and he's not as efficient as a rusher as Richardson, that I really like. The only guy who maybe gets a little boost, I think, is Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Josh Downs does too, but I just don't know again how much they want. Do they want to throw? They don't want to throw as much as they did when Flacco was playing quarterback. How much are they going to let Daniel Jones throw? And is there any reason to believe that Daniel Jones will be better than Richardson as a passer? Because Richardson's averaged 6.9 yards per attempt for his career. Daniel Jones has never done that in a season. They're both really bad passers. I had hope that maybe Richardson as a young guy could be better. I don't have that hope for Daniel Jones.
Well, Richardson, okay. Richardson was on pace for roughly 3,000 yards last year if you remove week 4. So week 4, I guess, was a game he left that super early with an injury. So about 3,000 yards. Daniel Jones is usually on pace for at least 3,500 yards. He throws more than Richardson. Obviously, he's been in a different offense, but that was one of the things that surprised me. Daniel Jones, his best year was 2022. That's when they won the playoff game. He averaged 29.5 pass attempts per game. In every other season, in his healthy games, you have to remove a lot of games. He leaves a lot of games early. But in the games that he didn't leave early with injury, in every other season, Daniel Jones has averaged at least 32.4 pass attempts per game. That actually very much surprised me. Whereas Richardson last year in his healthy games averaged 26 pass attempts per game. So you don't seem to think there'd be a big boost. Now, obviously, we have the Tyler Warren factor. So you got to, you look at like Josh Downs was amazing with Joe Flacco last year and miserable with Anthony Richardson. But now you've got Warren, who's going to get some targets too. Pittman, who's playing hurt all year. But I do think you'll get more pass attempts at the very least from Daniel Jones. Maybe a lot more.
I would tend to agree with that simply from a guy who's got experience. The thing I think that you look at is, first off, in terms of the injury, it could just be precautionary that they don't want to risk him coming into training camp hurt. So I wouldn't necessarily rush to judgment on anything with the Colts yet, because unless you're drafting now and you have to make a call, then maybe you give a slight boost to the pass catchers because of Daniel Jones. I agree with Heath. I don't think you should change anything dramatically. And I know, Adam, you were sort of banging this drum last year about what they would look like if Flacco played versus what they would look like if Richardson played, based on what Gardner Minshew did the year before when he was the guy there for the Colts and how those guys performed. And it made total sense. So this, to Heath's point, doesn't necessarily change, I think, a lot. But it could just be more opportunities because, again, they may trust, Richardson, trust Jones a little bit more than Richardson. So I'm still viewing it as Richardson should have the chance to, be the starter come week 1. Now, if Jones comes out and is lights out and then he's getting the first reps in camp and just, continues to play well, then clearly it's going to be tough for him. But I don't think there should be anything decided right now for Indianapolis because he's missing minicamp.
Josh Downs, let's see if I have it. I think he averaged 15. He averaged 10.7 PPR fantasy points per game with Anthony Richardson. And he averaged a lot more than 15.4 PPR fantasy points per game with Flacco, which would have made Downs wide receiver 17 per game over a full season. And Flacco averaged 36 pass attempts per game in the weeks that he either started or mostly played. All right. Anything else on this, or shall we move on? We can move on.
I think it's just too soon to make a judgment. This isn't a season-ending injury for him.
Right. I know it's a lot of people I think are like, oh, another Anthony Richardson injury, shoulder, but might just be nothing. Sometimes.
If we were in the same boat that we were last year, where you're drafting him as a top 10 quarterback with, okay, look at the upside. My gosh, it's hard to overlook what he did as a rookie, those few games, blah, blah, blah. Then yes, you're dropping him severely down your draft boards, but nobody's expecting him to come in as a number 1 fantasy quarterback. If you are, you haven't been paying attention. So I wouldn't overvalue Jones. If you're doing super flex and 2 quarterback drafts now, he's available in your dynasty leagues. You should definitely have him on your roster. But at this point, like redraft leagues, like just wait.
Daniel Jones to Heath must have the lowest touchdown rate in world history.
3.1%. I think it's 1 point lower than Trevor Lawrence and 1 point lower than Anthony Richardson.
I mean, it's unbelievable because I did his 17-game paces. Well, I'll just say this. Like, you don't have to look at the pace. His rookie year, Daniel Jones, 2019, is the only year of his career he's averaged more than a touchdown per game. It's unbelievable.
But it's the rushing upside. I mean, the year that he had before the ACL, when he was 3,500 and 700 rushing, like those years are hard to find.
Absolutely. And it wasn't his only year on pace for more than 700 rushing yards. He did that twice. One year was very short.